Hello and welcome to another episode of the Silver and Black Coffee Hour. My name is Tom Petrini. I'm so glad you're joining us on this sort of rainy day in March. I'm excited. It's a good time for basketball in the world. It's a good time for Spurs basketball. It's a kind of fun time for Spurs basketball, actually, despite how sad it's been at times. And here to discuss it with me, we got my friend Aaron Blackerby. Aaron, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm doing great. Spurs Nation, we're still here, and we're still glad you're here with us.
And Zach Montana, Zach, I know you and Aaron got to hooping this week. How did that go?
Could be better, could be worse. AB had some good dimes. AB hit me on a nice back door, a little too much in front of me. I'll be better next time, AB, I promise.
Look, I just see the future and where you need to be, and if you're not there, then the prophecy is not foretold. So
it's all good. Next time I'll be better, I promise. But AB and I did have some great back and forth, some good assists, some good buckets together. So no complaints on our end.
I heard that there was a bit of a problem on this team of they didn't understand how to pass Aaron the basketball, which, I mean, I guess I got to start showing up and playing point guard because I can do that.
Yes. Well, the issue was we were causing some misses, and I wasn't the tallest person on the team, and AB, I guess, didn't like getting rebounds. But our teammate for sure loved getting rebounds, and he loved doing a one man fast break multiple times. So you can't really stop someone going 1,000 miles an hour.
What do you mean you want me to pass it to you? Just get the board type of deal.
Yeah, go do it yourself type thing,
whatever. I didn't speak up and say, y'all need to get me the ball more, but now that I have a little bit of a rapport with these lads, now I'll just be like, hey, you guys should give me the ball. You'll get it back. Don't worry. I'm a sharer. I'm very much a believer in sharing is caring.
There you go.
Spurs got a matchup with a similar player this week. We've got a stacked slate of games against some really good opponents coming up. Spurs on a little bit of a slide here after losing 2 since we last spoke. We got some other stuff happening in Spurs world. Before we started the show, we were like, should we talk about it? And then we talked about it for like 10 minutes, and we were like, yeah, we should talk about it. The shock firing of Spurs coaching tree alum Taylor Jenkins from the very successful, under his watch, Memphis Grizzlies. We'll get into that. We'll also get into some sing-along, some high praise, and some deep dives on the stats in what's been a really interesting and informative, I think, stretch of basketball for your San Antonio Spurs. We'll start on Tuesday in Detroit at the Pistons. This was a game where, I mean, it happens in basketball, even in NBA at the highest levels. It'll happen in a basketball game, but it still throws you off every time you see it, right? Second quarter, 40 seconds into it, Mamu hits a sidestep 3 in the corner. Cool, sweet. The Spurs then missed 17 shots in a row. They finished the quarter on a Vassell finger roll, 2 of 19 as a team in the second quarter. And it's hard to lose a game in the second quarter, but man, they did it there. Overall, like stats and numbers wise, solid performance from Devin Vassell, who had 26 points. Steph Castle, 19 points in this game. Both of these guys have seen their workload increase after the Fox injury. But yeah, I mean, got killed in the paint a little bit. They were fighting on the glass, which was making me happy to see. Zach, what did you take away from this game other than that second quarter? Because
you mentioned that Devin Vassell layup. Mind you, that was probably the hardest shot of the whole quarter that went in. The up and under drive, like everything else that the Spurs had that quarter was like a good look. And then Devin Vassell does this circus shot.
I watched it this morning. Because they don't have that in the highlight tape, right? I'll watch the highlight to
Right.
refresh myself, but I'm like, I need to go back and look how bad were these shots, and it was like open three Julian Champagny, open three Harrison Barnes, like it's stuff that
They
like
weren't bad
funny,
shots, and then
funny
and
that
then
they were just
Dembele hits this up and under between two players. You're like, okay, that's and in my head, you're like, that's basketball. Like literally, that is basketball to a T. You could have the best looks all afternoon, and then you hit the circus shot, and you're like, this game doesn't even make sense. Like what are we doing right now? And it was you. I don't know what else to talk about other than the second quarter. The game was lost the second quarter. The team fought to try to get back in the game, but I will say my one positive in this game is they won the offensive rebound battle. And especially a team like Detroit, who has Beef Stew and Jaren Duran down in the paint, when we just have Bismack and players like that shouldn't be playing starting center or shouldn't be a backup center in this league, beating teams like that offense. Hey, the team was fighting. They knew the shot wasn't falling, but they were working their ass off to get a second chance. So I'll give kudos to that. Tough game overall.
Well, I mean, to the offensive rebounding standpoint, that is, we talked about rebounding being a problem. Offensive rebounding in the coach pop philosophy is typically non-existent because what Pop has talked about years ago was he felt it was more important to get back on defense. One of the things I saw, I mean, you saw it in this game, saw it in Cleveland too, that they were not just like running back on defense when the ball went up. They were crashing the boards. And so, yeah, to out rebound a much larger team like this by 10 on the offense rebounds, pretty awesome. A lot of great energy from a team. I'm not sure, honestly, that there is more analysis than the other team had shots go in and we didn't. But I will say there was a really interesting Steph Castle play that I am interested for it to see further get elaborated here, where Harrison Barnes catches it right at the elbow, and as Steph Castle's bringing it down, Steph passes it to him, like I'd say about 3 feet before he gets to the 3-point line. And then he's judging whether he goes right or left based on the read of the defense. And it's essentially a handoff. And what I really like about this play, I think Steph has like a solid handle, but it's not great. And so when you're really trying to get down that fast, I think this is like leveraging how strong he is, his athleticism, and just giving him one less thing to think about, which is dribbling the ball. Because by the time he's catching it, he is taking 2 steps and going up one way or another, whether it's 2 quick steps, whether he goes slow-mo mode. But I thought that was a fascinating action from it. And I think, Tom, just looking at the run of show here, you have kind of a further elaboration on that action that I agree with here. So I'll let you take that.
So I think to go up when you're putting it like that, right? Most handoffs in the NBA are to get east and west, right? Give a guy a screen and a clean catch for a 3 around the arc. This is more like up the gut, meet me in the A gap type of
Power
handoff.
football.
Yes.
A dive
dang
play.
ball.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's really fun. And it is truly all right, which way it's a little option, right? And highlights a lot of what he does. I was interested in, right out of the gate of this game, you had the first few baskets that the Spurs scored were all in the exact same spot, corner 3, and on the exact same play. Different guys running it, which was cool to see. It was a high pick and roll from the angle. Guard draws double, weak side, help defender, leaves the shooter in the corner, skip pass across the floor. Pretty difficult pass.
Baseline hammer throw action. That's a Manu Ginobili staple from back in the day. It worked then. It's still working today. Yeah.
Yep. And but you have to have a little bit of that, the psycho and the skill to pass it, right? to get it over the top and across, 25 feet or whatever it is. And Steph did it to Vassell, and then Unk did it to Unk, and then Steph did it to Dev again. And I think that sort of speaks to when you run the same system, right? When you have guys running the same plays interchangeably, and you're just learning how you operate in that system, you love seeing Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes run a play to perfection, and then the young guys run it the exact same way for the exact same result. It's just it's a very a clear depiction of like, this is why you bring in guys like that, so that they can have that sort of impact and that sort of, on everybody.
Yeah. Speaking of great offenses and getting open looks from three, we're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers, the best shooting team in the league from 3-point, or 38%. The Spurs played them well for I would say the Spurs played them well for 40 minutes until Jared Allen checked in at the 8-minute mark and proceeded to go 20 and 9 to end the game. Those final 8.5 minutes. It was almost like Cleveland was waiting to pull out the special play against the Spurs if needed, and it was the classic pick and roll, if you would guess. And at certain points, it would be Chris Paul guarding Jared Allen in the paint. And you're like, what the hell is going on? Obviously there's a reason why he scored 20 points and had 9 rebounds in the final 8 minutes of the game. So that is in my opinion, the key to the game right there is they came out. It was a tough game. It was a great battle between both teams. Some stars of the night. Steph Castle scoring his 1,000th point as a rookie. Shout out to him. And then Devin Vassell, franchise record, 47 threes in the month of March. Most threes in NBA history in a month. So I want to ask what y'all thought of this game. If Jared Allen jumped off the screen like he jumped off my screen to y'all.
Well, I think Jared Allen took Bismack Biyombo's one highlight from the game of dunking on him very personally and decided to take it out on the rest of the team. But I mean, if there's going to be like an entertaining loss, like that's what I want to see, regardless of even if Wemby or De'Aaron Fox are playing. Like if teams are going to lose, obviously, throughout the season, I think you just always want to see effort. And the thing that was really highlighted between both of these games is like the effort from the Spurs never let up. It just seems like everybody is running on Keldon Johnson juice right now of just like, if shots aren't going in, we're not getting defeated. Like we're running for everything. And so I really love the effort from the team. Entertaining loss. Yeah, to your point, Zach, Devin Vassell looks really well-rounded into form right now. I think this was kind of the guy that we were hoping to see at the beginning of the season. So I think I'll say this for... Oh, go on, Tom.
We got two similar like games here. You go to play a good team in the East. You fight real hard. You win the offensive glass battle.
Twice.
Yeah,
they won it both times this week.
And then there's just this really obvious thing that happened that made it, for 10 minutes in a row that happened and made it completely unwinnable, the game. And yeah, Jared Allen, remembering that he's 5 inches taller than anybody that the Spurs can throw at him. A reminder, the Spurs are starting Bismack Biyombo at center. He's 6'8". Their backup center is Jeremy Sohan, who's 6'8". The Cavs have like 5 guys that are 7'3". Like it was a miracle. And the Cavs broadcast, because sometimes I like tap into the opposing team's broadcast, see what they're saying. And I think that the broadcast crew does a pretty good job of highlighting what the other team is doing well. And they were impressed with like the fight that the Spurs were showing. They kept being like, man, this is a team that you would think would just shut it down, especially in today's NBA. Just, stop fighting, and they didn't, right? One thing about the Cleveland broadcast, though, that I have to bring up on this show because it is truly dystopian. It made me very sad, but I also had to laugh because it's so ridiculous. Have you guys seen this? The diff.
What's the diff?
So the diff, my dear friend, is this brand new advanced stat that the Cleveland FanDuel Sports Network uses on their broadcast. And because, math can be hard and nobody watches sports to do math, right? So when you don't want to calculate the difference in the score between the Cavs and the opponent, they have this thing right above the scoreboard that calculates it for you. It's there the whole game for people who can't do subtraction. And it makes me
Is it
sad.
legal to gamble in Cleveland? Is that why they had that?
It's on the FanDuel Sports Network, Zach.
Well, because we're FanDuel Sports Network down here, and we don't have it, so it must be a state-to-state thing.
But I'm just imagining that conference call, like, guys, sports gambling is going really good for us. We're making a lot of money. How can we engage the segment of the population that just can't do basic arithmetic here? That made me sad. It made me very sad to see.
Yeah.
And also, I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, that's kind of funny how sad that is.
Rough. Well, let's not talk
Yeah.
about something that's rough. We only had 2 games in between. Let's already jump to high praise for this last week.
Hallelujah!
Welcome back to High Praise, a segment where we parse for positivity within the Spurs universe. And honestly, it's not that hard. So I gotta say, things are going pretty okay. Fellas, I'm gonna Zach, I'm gonna throw it to you first because you seem like you have something really sentimental to say here, Zach. So, Zach, who do you got high praise for this last coming week?
Just the fans. I feel like the fans this season have been put through a difficult time. A lot of curveballs thrown at us, a lot of things to take in as fans, as Spurs fans, that we probably haven't had a chance to really ever navigate with this, with a coach being out, with your star player being out with the season, your other star player being out that you traded for. But we've stuck together, I feel like, for the most part, and tried to keep it positive here. And even with the people I've talked about in the real world, everyone's like, yeah, dude, whatever happens this season is irrelevant. Like, I'm so excited for the future. I'm so excited for what's to come. Like, it's beautiful hearing that, because when we got Wemby, it was like, yeah, we got Wemby. I'm excited to watch Wemby play. But now I feel like I'm excited to watch this team play. And over the last month, I feel like a lot of these players have gotten to show themselves in a different light to these fans and improve the way that people perceive them. I don't have any negative thoughts, but some people have these, up and down feelings about players depending on how good they play, how bad they play. I just am, as fans, we've stuck together. We're now about to be in April. The goal this season wasn't met, but I think what we have come to see is that the future is so much brighter than what it was at the beginning of this season that everyone's like, okay, I'm excited for that. I'm ready to fucking go.
Nice. Well,
That's my
if
take.
there is a part of the future that I am genuinely excited about, it deals with the Spurs. Most other parts of it, I'm pretty damn scared of. So, if fair.
I hope that society doesn't collapse before the inevitable three-peat. That's the only thing.
There you go.
Hold it together for our boy Wemby and crew.
Come on, America.
Well, I want to go next. So, look, my wife isn't here right now, so I'm going to just get this really off of my chest. All right.
Unsupervised.
So
Here we go.
Jeremy Sohan obviously is my high praise. And I have some very interesting stats that I want to deep dive on you for. I was so inspired by last week, Zach, and your Keldon Johnson praise and stats that you had, that I had to do some deep diving. We've already hit on this a bit. These last 2 games, winning the offensive rebounding battle is a very different type of Spurs thing that we've ever seen. So I was like, I want to look up hustle stats. I want to look up some more defensive stats. And I have found some really interesting stats. One with our own Jeremy Sohan. Jeremy Sohan, per the season, top 8 in the league in scoring frequency as the pick and roll ball handler. Anybody remember that point Sohan experiment from last year?
Can you say that one more time?
Well, hold on. I'm just trying to listen. Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, I'm going to say this one more time for the people in the back. Jeremy Sohan, top 8 in the league in scoring frequency as the pick and roll ball handler at 54.5%, and in the 90th percentile of efficiency per the season across the entire league.
So we're saying when he initiates with the ball in his hand, goes around his screen, over half the time that he does that, he's scoring the basketball. And that's among the best in the league. That's
He
what
is
we're
either
saying?
scoring or assisting for a score. So,
Wonderful.
I
That's
mean,
pretty good.
I think that's pretty good. I don't know.
I too think that's also pretty good.
Can
I also want to add here that Jeremy Sohan is also elite as a roll man. Nobody who rolls, because I saw your stat and I was inspired by your stat, so I looked it up. Nobody who rolls as much as he does has a higher N1 rate than him on said rolls. It's like 8.5% of the time that he rolls, he's getting an N1.
pretty good. And then speaking of some further hustle stats here, I'll caveat this. We're seeing obviously some defensive deficiencies. With that being said, and in the spirit of looking towards the future, one of the things within these hustle stats that really came across to me, I think speaks a little bit more to like our perimeter defense is pretty okay at worst. The Spurs are top 5 in loose balls recovered per game at 5, and we're top 6 in creating loose balls. So we are ahead of teams like the Rockets, Lakers, and the Cavs and Pistons that we just played. These are all according to NBA stats. So I know that we've talked about, I talked about last week, the defensive demons that we have on the perimeter, but it really is there. When this makes me look to the future, I'm like, okay, like some things obviously we'll need to figure out, but man, like what happens if we truly just answer this with like a backup center? You know? So
And
that's
can
my high
I
praise.
like that
Yeah.
because I think that in this part of the season, right, where you're without Pop, you're without Wemby, who's the anchor of this defense always. You're without De'Aaron Fox, who's a disruptor, right? You have to like you're not going to replace that with Bismack Biyombo. You're not going to replace it in the aggregate either, but you got to try, damn it. And that's I think what we've seen here in this last 8-game stretch where the team is 4-4, and they're having games where they're out offensive rebounding teams like the Cavs and the Pistons, and they're playing their butts off. And I guess that ties into my high praise, which is for Mitch Johnson and the entire coaching staff, right? Guys are playing hard, they're playing loose, they're playing freely, they're playing with the amount of desperation that you need to have a chance in an NBA game without your 2 best players. And also in that context, we're seeing exactly what we hope to see in terms of growth for Steph Castle and bounce back for Devin Vassell, who are your 2 most important players that are currently healthy, right? Some quick numbers since the Fox injury. Steph Castle averaging 20 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, and a steal per game. He's shooting 44% from the floor, 32.5% from 3, 72.5% on the free throw line. He leads the team in field goal attempts at about 16. He has twice as many free throw attempts as anyone else on the team in that stretch. His usage rate is insane. The Zachary Risachet fans are mad about it. They're like, oh man, of course he's gonna win Rookie of the Year. Look at the usage rate. Look at anything Steph Castle is doing, and it's like, yeah, that's the Rookie of the Year, man.
Also, maybe watch the entire season and not just like the last 2 months where Zachary Ricochet, he has come into his own. But come on, y'all. Like, full season look here. Steph Castle's the guy.
Well, if we're gonna
it's
go
not-
off of like, sorry to interrupt, but
No,
the Spurs are 4-4 since the De'Aaron Fox injury. Steph Castle's clearly leading the way, and they're a 500 team. Like, so if we're gonna like put Ricochet in this situation and see if the Spurs are 4-4 and with the same usage, I don't think that's the case. I think it's a very simple argument.
And it's good to see. Like, obviously, we want to watch our guy take home the hardware, right? But more than that, I'm just excited for his growth as a player, his development with all of these guys. You know, averaging 20 a game for an 8-game stretch, that's consistency. And then you look at Devin, who's at 20.5 points per game, leading the team ever so slightly in that stretch. 8 3-point attempts per game. He's shooting 44% on those after the unfun month of February that we've talked about on this show before.
Second highest percentage in the league over that month as well.
Like,
Behind Luka.
like these are the guys that you wanted to see. Okay, what do y'all got? And then we're still seeing great play from Sohan, awesome energy and consistent play from Keldon Johnson on both ends of the floor. Blake Wesley doing things, hitting threes, slowing the game down, disruptive defense. Mamu having that amazing scoring performance, and then also like whether the shot's falling or not, like you said, honor the basketball gods, play hard, and playing hard. That is a mental fortitude thing. That is a culture thing. That is a coaching thing. So shout out to Mitch Johnson and the staff.
Love it. Well, we're going to segue here from the Spurs coach, which is Wemby's coach in America, to Wemby's coach in France, as we have some questions for the week. And, it's been a very intriguing week for the Spurs. So I want to first go off with this. So, French national team coach, Frederic Fatou, I think is how it's pronounced. He confirmed that Wemby had surgery and that he's recovering well and is not ruling him out for Eurobasket. So, do you guys want him to play in Eurobasket? And before you answer, I'm going to give you the timeline on when Eurobasket starts. It starts August 27th and it goes through September 14th. Zach, I put some spice on my fajitas last night, and they was very tasty. But I feel like you have some more spice to put on your take right now about this. So what say you? You want Wemby to play in Eurobasket?
With the dates being the dates, Spurs training camp probably starts a week after that. I would guess late September. I think the Spurs have much more important issues at hand than what. I mean, at that time there will be open runs between the team. The team will be back in San Antonio, whether it's official training camp season or not. That's not officially official, but the team is usually back in a month before training camp starts to really do a lot of open run, to get ready for training camp, to get kind of acclimated with each other, to work out with each other. With the addition of De'Aaron Fox, and with whatever happens this summer, we don't know. There might be an addition, there might be a subtraction, there might be players added, there might be players that these players need to get acclimated with. And I think,
Zach, I can tell you for a fact, players will be added and players will be retracted. So
the point I'm making is I would be much more comfortable with Wemby staying in Austin or staying in San Antonio, wherever they train. They like to come to Austin. They like to do things in San Antonio. I'd prefer them to be in Texas together or wherever they train together. I understand the French national team is important to him. I understand it's a new coach. His old coach, the old French national team coach, retired. They're starting fresh. I understand it makes sense to be there. But in the grand scheme of things, the Spurs might have a new coach. The Spurs might need to get things like reacclimated and try to I just think there's more important things to switch sports and to stay in the same lane is a soccer player by the name of Alphonse Davis, plays for Bayern Munich, got hurt for playing for the Canadian national team like a week ago. And now the Canadian national team is being sued by Bayern Munich for playing him in a game that he didn't need playing in. I feel the same way in this situation. There is no reason for Wemby to be playing in these games this summer. I get you love the French national team. I get it. But there's more important issues at hand. Simple as that.
Tom, what say you?
I'll put it this way. I hope that Wemby recovers from this blood clot and the resulting surgery in such a time frame that if he wanted to play in Eurobasket and it made sense, that he could do it. I wouldn't want him. I would want it to be like a conditioning thing, right? Like, because he's gonna have to get his conditioning up anyway, right? And so, say before training camp, he feels good. Docs give the green light, and he's like, "Yeah, I want to be around my French national team teammates, and get my legs back, get back into the flow of things. Maybe come off the bench for 15 minutes. In some of these games, and not do anything too crazy. I would love that, right? And then he rolls, good for his mind, good for his game, good for his body. But yeah, it's a very critical time for the Spurs, the start of next season, as we've talked about, really, ever since Zaza Pachulia stepped under Kawhi Leonard, it's been about growth and development and development and growth and growth and development, right? And I think that next year, the beginning of next year, is the first year in almost a decade for the Spurs where you can look at them and say, they've got aspirations of going to the playoffs this year. And beyond just going to the playoffs this year. So I really understand what you're saying, Zach, and I understand people who are like, keep him in bubble wrap, don't let anything bad happen to him, don't make him tired. And I think the French national team would agree there's even more important things for them than Eurobasket. They want to make sure that he's healthy for World Cup and for Olympics.
Yeah. Well, let me chime in here. Couple things. Boris Diaw is the GM of the French team. Okay. Person who has very close ties with the Spurs to this day. Incredibly important. Secondly, this will be about 6 months that Wemby will have been on rest. And Tom, in an ideal world, I do like your idea of him sitting on the bench, but this is Victor Wembanyama. He is not sitting on the bench. He is gonna play. And
hard.
And you think Rudy Gobert's an asshole? You tell Wemby to sit on the bench, I guarantee he's gonna be an asshole. So, with all that being said, and I'll caveat this with I want him to clearly do what he thinks is best for his body. I would not be mad if he went to Eurobasket and played. He has said many times that longer layoffs actually affect his game more. He's said in the past that the more consistent play with the way that his body type is, that it's helpful. Now, I don't know what that looks like from a minutes played or something standpoint. I agree with y'all. He's going to need to get his conditioning up one way or another. I think it's a good leverage point for him to springboard whatever he does in Eurobasket into the season. I agree with that. I totally hear y'all's points on him getting acclimated with this sort of thing, with the new team, potentially new coach, new players. But I think if you give Wemby his emotional bump that he probably needs, and this leads to confidence, not just with the French team and with his playing style, too, he's going to probably be the leader of this French team. At this point, a lot of them have older players. I think there is like some skill, some leadership qualities and skills that like are able to be developed in that situation as well. I think there's actually more to be positive about if he did this than negative. So I'll leave it there. But let's jump on to the question that we were talking about before, before we started recording. Yesterday, with about 9 games left in the season, the Memphis Grizzlies did something very strange. They decided to fire their head coach, Taylor Jenkins, former San Antonio Spurs coach tree alum, as Tom brought up at the beginning. And obviously, Spurs fans everywhere were like, he was one of us. Maybe he should come back here. And look, it's really interesting because last year, just to further set the table, most of the staff was fired underneath him. They also got rid of Noah LaRouche, who is their head of player development. Last year, the Spurs actually signed their player development coach, and this is the person who Steph Castle has attributed his slow step to, because that's who taught him it. He's our new development coach here on the Spurs. So, setting the scene, and Tom, I'm going to let you take this first. Taylor Jenkins, if he's available and there's interest from both parties, and hopefully nothing worse comes out other than the Grizzlies just didn't like the direction under him, how would you feel about Taylor Jenkins entertaining a Spurs coaching job?
I mean, yeah, like when this news came through, I was like, was he moving crazy? Like what happened here? They're good. They're good. They've been good. And yeah, this guy is a former assistant and then head coach of the Austin Toros, the then Austin Toros, the then D League, then Austin Toros, in 2012 and 13. And you know, if the Spurs head coach next year, at the start of next year, is not Greg Popovich, and Pop decides that he wants to step away, right? All indications are he wants to come back. But let's just look at what Taylor Jenkins has done in Memphis, and I want to look specifically on the defensive side. I wrote this down in my pad, and it's a good time to flex this. I don't know if I've ever shown you guys this. The Johnsonville sausage basketball texture legal folder here. Shout out to Patty Mills. Love you, Patty Mills. Got this as a giveaway at one of his events. But Taylor Jenkins takes control of the Memphis Grizzlies in the 2019 and 20 season. 14th defensively. Next year, 7th. Next year, 6th. Next year, 3rd. Last year with no Ja, 12th still. This year, 11th. It was amazing to see the statement from the team after this. They were like, yeah, this was hard because, we loved him and we're winning and the players have undeniably developed under him and we wish him the best. And it was like, so why did you fire him? I'm still trying to understand that part. And I know, Zach, you kind of talked to your friends who are Grizzlies fans about this. What did they have to report on that end of things?
A lot of confusion. I think on their end, it seemed like they knew something was coming from it, but it still didn't make sense. And it seemed to be like, hey, if this is coming from the top down, it's coming from the players. It's not coming from someone behind the scenes that he's done. It's just they don't like the style of play that he's playing currently. I always judge an opponent or a player if I hate playing against them. It usually means they're pretty fucking good. And I've hated playing against the Grizzlies over the past, for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, 20 years, but specifically with the offense and defense that Taylor Jenkins runs. He's running the 5-out this year. It was very difficult to play against for the Spurs when the Spurs are fully healthy and the Grizzlies are fully healthy. I was at that game in January when both teams went at each other fully healthy, and it was like, yo, this offense is tough to guard. Wemby was having trouble guarding it, and they figured things out. So that's usually my barometer is like, yo, this is kind of tough. Like this
Yeah,
guy probably I don't like playing against him, so I want him on my team.
different flavor, same huge pain in the ass
Right.
that the Grizzlies have been.
Yeah, the 5-out offense would probably be very interesting with the Victor Wembanyama as a part of it. Wemby's not the best pick setter, you know. That's not really a secret. That's pretty apparent. So to like have some of that wear and tear potentially taken off his body would be interesting. I don't know if I don't know. I don't have like the strongest opinion on Taylor Jenkins being like the next guy here. And not that he hasn't done a great job with player development. Um, not that he hasn't been a good coach. When I think about how the Spurs operate, it is very much in lockstep with one another. We've talked about this before. They deal with things like in a real committee way. I think they discuss various pros and cons and then kind of come to a consensus on it. And the organization as a whole moves in lockstep from there, which is very much an outlier in the NBA today. I think we see a lot of different front offices, a lot of different of these groups come and they have like various different agendas. I mean, once again, I'll just like note the Dallas Mavericks for this right now. Especially with like some of the things Mark Cuban has been saying recently. Like, oh, I didn't know that this was okay, whatever, Cubes. So if he came, that tells me that he is obviously going to have like the full throated foundational support of the front office, and I'll be great with it. But I don't think because of where he's at that like he's our next coach. I also think that like our next coach, they're going to try to like keep him around for at least 10 years. That's kind of, I mean, obviously Pop is once again that type of outlier, but like between the Spurs and the Heat, like these are places where there feels to be like some, cultural knowledge of the way that they work and the things that they believe in are consistency. And so when I look at Taylor Jenkins and I'm like, you're a development coach and that is great. And there are certain organizations that they will take on a development coach for like a young team and he's going to be great. And then when that talent is developed, they usually bring in the closer type of coach and then they help bring them over the top. I have not seen Taylor Jenkins do that yet. I'm not saying that he can't. And if he has the full foundational support of the Spurs, I bet he can get there. But from what I've seen based on that knowledge, and I do think Memphis overall has been a pretty well-run organization, at least from the outside looking in, I just don't fully see it. So I'm not like the most on board for it at the moment.
I kind of want to compare this to, like, think about what the Spurs have done operationally, right? And the way that they've been opportunistic. And also think about the way that that's changed in the Wemby era. Think about the Fox trade, right? Player gets disgruntled, becomes available. All of a sudden, you're a destination, And, like, I'm guessing some calls were made, right? At the very least, to be like, hey, man, sorry that happened. Keep your chin up. You're a good coach. I'm sure opportunity will come your way.
You good, bud?
Yeah. He did it again, huh? Yeah, like, well, it's not dirty macking now, right? You guys are already broken up. So what
It's still dirty macking.
No, it's cool.
Yeah.
There's nothing dirty about any Mac that is or isn't happening.
No. The breakup happened.
It's
The
really-
breakup happened. And most breakups, as we know this from fellows being in relationships in the past, most breakups like actually happen further back from when they're officially happened. Like,
Right. Of
you know?
course. We've been growing. We knew this was.
we've been
we knew
growing
this.
apart already. Like,
It's like none of us knew that shit about
No.
them.
yeah.
De'Aaron Fox and the Kings, yeah, could have guessed that one. Taylor Jenkins and the Grizzlies, though, it's weird, and so it makes me think if the Spurs look at this and look at the gap in their timeline and think, but is he the guy that you do that for, right? And yeah, I kind of lean with Zach. Like, I don't think, and I think if you're Taylor Jenkins, you don't want to be thought of as the guy who is the development coach, because then what? You coach a team from 14 wins to 45 or 50, and then they fire you and bring in some guy to bring that the rest of that talent across the
They
finish
bring
line.
in
Like, he
Steve
wants
Kerr
to
to
do it.
do it all.
Oh man, and so yeah, I'm rooting for Taylor Jenkins wherever he goes, and I'm sure whoever gets him will be a huge pain in the ass to play against on both ends of the basketball court.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap up our questions with a really fun one here. And I'll give a little behind the scenes for everyone, a little BTS, if you will. Um, I am the only person within the Silver and Black Coffee Hour that has a TikTok account. Doesn't mean that Tom and Zach are not aware of TikTok or anything like that, but I seem to be the only person that uses it. Now, within
I
my
have an
algorithm,
account that made one TikTok.
well, I'm glad I have actually never made a TikTok, but now within my account though, my algorithm did something very interesting this last week. It was showing me these LeBron James songs where they are interpolating other popular songs. So a couple of them have been Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror, Gautier's Somebody I Used to Know, and Usher's OMG. And in the spirit of keeping things fun and light, I asked the fellas the other day, and I told Zach, I was like, you can't just like not answer this question. You have to answer it. You fucking have to answer it. And so I gave Zach 24 hours to think through this.
I got
So-
one song.
So, with that being said, if you guys could think of what song and Spurs player would you like to see be a part of this recent TikTok trend? Zach, you have your one song. I'm excited to hear what it is.
All right. Well, La Bamba by the real Richie Valens. I think if we could switch it up and do a little, instead of La Bamba, it'd be Victor Wembanyama and do something fun with that.
Okay, I like that. I like
Ah,
that a
there you
lot.
go, Tom. You like that
actually.
one.
I like that.
I love
That's a
it.
good one.
I love
Tom, what
it.
do you got?
I've got a Wemby one. And I'm also like uniquely suited for this challenge, I think, because like Jess and I are always making little gup songs about our guppy. We got goobin out, and that's for when he's goobing out. But so I got a little over Sade, right? Shout out to Sade. Vic Wembanyama. He's a Vic Wembanyama. 7'5" skills and size. I've been thinking about this one. So that one works, and then you could also do someday you will find me. I'll be on the 3 line. Champagne supernova in the sky.
Yeah.
All works. What do you? I know you asked this question because you got some heat, and you're the actual musician in this show. So give me some.
Well, I wanted to honor my roots with this challenge. And
Oh.
as longtime listeners of this show will know, I am from South Texas, a sunny place for shady people, as we like to call it, called Corpus Christi. And the most famous person to ever come out of Corpus Christi is Selena. And I thought we could interpolate Bitty Bitty Bom Bom with Victor Wembanyama. Wemby Yamba. So I had that one. Obviously there's a very easy one for De'Aaron Fox, which is what does the fox say? I was really
too. You could do Fox and Wemby.
yeah. Not necessarily interpolated, but we could probably do Aliens Exist by Blink 182 for Steph Castle and Victor Wembanyama. Hey mom, there's something in the bathroom. Hope it's not Steph Castle dunking on my head. You read me stories as if my life was boring. I've been blocked by Wembanyama. All right. Yeah, like so
True story. I saw Travis Barker, Blink performed that song and many others, and I got to see Travis Barker shred so hard on the drums that he like injured himself physically. That was amazing.
that checks out. So
At least
I think these
despite
are
a plane
all
crash.
great, guys. And San Antonio Spurs fans out there across the world. We see you in France. We see you in the Philippines. We see you, the 2 people in Japan and the 5 in Australia. But most of our analytics say that we get our folks from Central Texas to South Texas. Jump on this TikTok trend, but let's like make it about Spurs players. Also, I'll give someone $5 if they figure out how to do something with Malachi Branham. I think there's something there. I just can't figure it out right now.
And bonus points for Texas artists. We could Bowling for Soup would be fun to use here.
Oh, Tom, I mean, if we want to
cool.
get into Texas artists, we could do a whole thing on that.
Are
But
Butthole Surfers from San Antonio?
oh yeah, dude. Yeah, there's a very strong tradition. Beyonce is a Texas artist. Some people claim
Texas as a whole. I mean,
yeah,
Jesus,
yeah.
we got absolute incredible musicians. Austin, Texas, live music capital of the world, baby. And this is the Austin, Texas Spurs podcast, so we're the only ones that are going to do this bit.
Yeah,
Thank you, Eric,
probably.
for spraying your creative juices all over this one.
Well, speaking of spraying my creative juices, this is not going to be a special segue in any segment. Let's spray our special takes on what we have upcoming in the next week. Gauntlet ass week, fellas. Gauntlet ass week. And it's going to start tonight when we're recording this on Saturday against the Boston Celtics. Coming into town, we talked about this last week a little bit. Since then, Jason Tatum got a little hurt, but I believe he played last night, and he's not on the injury report for tonight against our Spurs. So, Tommy, what do you think on this game?
We're gonna get Missoula ball like you've never seen it before. I think the Celtics are going to attempt 63s and make 25 of them. That sounds like an exaggeration, but they have attempted 63s like 5 times already this year. It's crazy. And the thing is, do they go away from that strength when the Spurs are struggling on the interior, or do they stick with what they run well because they're running it well? Like last week, Homestead, Miami, Kyle Larson, he's ripping the fence. He's driving like an inch from the wall. And I'm like, and he's like seconds ahead of the field. It's like, why are you doing that when it's so like, there's an easier way for you to get around the track? And he's like, this is just what I'm doing well. So do the Celtics stick with what they do well at the risk of potentially it being an off shooting night? But I think that's the only way the Spurs win this game is if the Celtics traditional strategy of jacking it up gets blown up in their face. What about you, Zach?
As I said last week, the over-under on first half threes is 28. 28. I'm sticking to it. I think they hit it. We should see that a lot of shots will be taken tonight. And Tom, to go to your point, I think we're at the part of the season where teams are really trying to fine-tune what they're trying to do going into the playoffs. The Spurs have nothing but playoff juggernaut teams coming up this week. I think it benefits them in a way because teams really won't be scouting to play against Spurs, just more scouting against themselves to get right for the playoffs. So I think you might see closer games just because game plans aren't really structured for who you're playing to get yourself right for the playoffs. But Spurs are going to have trouble this game.
Yeah, actually, Tatum did not play last night. So, but he was left off the injury report, so I guess he's coming back for tonight. But
so they're saying him against the big dogs is what I'm hearing.
They want this smoke, and we want it too. Kinda. Chill out, Boston fans, okay? And I gotta say they are 9-10 in their last 9-1 in their last 10. And look, here's how the Spurs can win this game. All right. You got to create more steals and have to foul them. When I looked at their overall stats on the season, that's really about their only holes as a team, and they are truly rounding into form. Kristaps Porzingis is doing Porzingod shit again. Jaylen Brown has a problem with every team that's not from Boston. So, yeah, gonna be a tough one. On to the next one on Sunday, semi-matinee against the team that the Boston Celtics lost to in the finals a few years back, the Golden State Warriors, with the Steph Curry that also came back from injury very recently. Jimmy Butler being Jimmy Butler. Zach, what do you got on this one?
I watched your game last night. Shout out to NBA Crunch Time. Fantastic watch if it's on and you have NBA League Pass. Like 10 games going on at once. Think of NFL Red Zone, but NBA. Right. Watched the game against the Pelicans last night. The Warriors weird me out because you watch them and you're like, they only have Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, but then they just win games. And not to say they only have those two guys, but they have guys come off the bench you never heard of. They have a backup big last name Post that's pulling up threes out of nowhere. You're like, who the hell is this guy? And even the Antonio Daniels is on the New Orleans broadcast. He's like, I don't know, this guy can do shit. And he just kept saying that every time he touched the ball last night. But Steph looked like Steph. Steph had a few threes last night. We're like, Jesus Christ. So, like I said it last week, when Steph Curry comes to town, he's 37. How many times do you get to witness greatness like this before it's over and embrace it and enjoy it?
Yeah, and the fans all over enjoy Steph Curry and what the Warriors have built, and like it's not like, you know, lost a step retirement tour time quite yet though. Like they got Jimmy Butler and went like 13-3 since that trade. Something crazy like that. And it's like it's rare that you make a trade that like instantly has an impact like that on winning and chemistry, right? Because things were just like things were funky in Golden
flat.
State for I feel for Klay Thompson because I mean, boy, this is not what he signed up for. Yikes, that's a whole other thing. But
Yeah.
Warriors playing really well. They're hot. If guys, you know, are not taking it as seriously, then, you know, that's where you have a problem. But that's the thing about the Warriors is they have enough experience to, like, you know, lock in a little bit.
They do, and the Clippers are right on their heels in regards to like playoff standings right now in the Western Conference.
They're teetering that line.
Yeah, so they're very motivated to keep winning games and not even like play with their food. So this one seems like a little rough. I know last week I said I thought this was the one that we had a chance to win, but I'm changing my mind now based on new information, which you can too. On to the next one though. Orlando on Tuesday. This will be our first game in April. I don't know if you guys know this. It's April 1st.
I'll be there.
April Fool's Day. Zach is going to be in the building. And Zach, I got to tell you, I think if there's a game that we're going to win this week, it's probably this one as Orlando's going to be coming off of their own back-to-back the night before. They are a nasty, nasty team that actually lost to the Mavs earlier this week. But they are first in the league in offensive rebounding, something that we were complimenting the team earlier in the show. And I will say the Mavs in that game shot 50% from three, so that does typically lead to that. But if you were to look at like our Kirk Goldsberry's recent efficiency landscape, we are essentially diametrically opposing teams. Like pretty good offense over here, not so great defense. Pretty great defense over here, not so great offense. So a true clashing of styles in this one. Tom, what do you got on this one?
This is like because of that contrasting style, it's strength on strength, which is really cool. And so it'll be fun to see because the Spurs offense has been playing great basketball. Zach talked about this at length during High Praise one of these weeks. But like they're and you look at that Kirk Goldsberry graph and it's like the Spurs have the best offense in the NBA. What do you over the last 10 games? What do you mean by that? How is that possible? And it's happening, right? Like but yeah, that Magic team, they're long, they're strong, they are switchable, they are feisty. They're building something really cool over there. I want to see on the other end of the floor though, Jeremy and Paolo is always a really fun matchup. So excited for that one. Zach, what do you got?
Orlando displays a very dogfightish slugfest. You better bring your gloves. It's gonna be a 12-round fight. You better strap in, better tighten up the mouthpiece and get everything ready to go because it's gonna be
It's gonna be a long day.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, you're just gonna be scrapping. They go after offensive rebounds. They don't stop fighting. They know they have to go after offensive rebounds because second chance points is a premium, and they know that they don't shoot the ball too well. So to score, they got to get second chance points. So shout out to Jonathan Isaacs. Always tends to shout out and play fucking crazy against Spurs too. So we'll see what happens. He didn't play. He played when they played in beginning of February. And the Spurs lost that game on a final shot. They were winning the whole game and gave it away towards the end. So I hope they get a lick back.
Yeah. Well, guess what? In a week where we're playing some former NBA champions, we have another former NBA champion team playing us again. After we play the Orlando Magic on Tuesday, we are playing the Denver Nuggets on Wednesday night. Jesus Christ, man. Bring your fucking boxing gloves this week, Keldon Johnson, because we are going to need it. We're playing the Denver Nuggets. Jokic is back. We're referencing a lot of Kirk Goldsberry's efficiency landscape. We are right now playing better than the Nuggets, but Jokic has been hurt during that 10-game stretch. Jokic is back. Jokic last night flicked his wrist from 3/4 of the court, and it was a swish. He Euro-stepped into a third and 3/4 court shot and swished it.
It wasn't even a shot,
that guy
AB.
play.
It was a push shot from the opposing free throw line.
I said that this last game against Orlando was strength on strength, right? This, I think, is going to be strength on weakness in a very devastating way for the San Antonio Spurs because you've got Jokic, who, right, he's a force of nature. He's the best player in the world. And if he's not, he's one of the top three. And oh, by the way, he plays at a position where he's a 7 foot tall beefcake playing a position that the Spurs tallest guy is 6'8". Like,
we're going to be throwing a
Yikes.
lot of bodies at this problem today. Aaron Gordon is also back, so you're going to see Jeremy Sohan play Jokic, Murray, Gordon, probably get switched on to Christian Braun. Tom, to your point, watch out for Chris Paul accidentally getting switched on in the post for some easy buckets. They have big bodies to throw at it. And yeah, what do you got, Zach?
Look, Jokic just had two of the sickest plays I've seen all season in the last week with the behind-the-back pass that he had from the three-point line, which was unbelievable, and then the 3/4 shot that he had. I was watching that live last night, and I was like, what the fuck was that? That was crazy. Wait, what the hell? But I'm just sad that we don't get I always look forward to these Nuggets games because we're going to get a Wemby Joker matchup, and you're like, oh, these are awesome. You know someone's going to go for 40 and someone's going to go for 38, and it's going to be back and forth. That's my only take from it. I'm just sad I don't get to watch that. I'm sad.
Well, last one here. We're thankfully not playing a championship winner from this decade, but we are playing the Cleveland Cavaliers again on Friday. And, let's run this back. That was a really fun game the other day. Evan Mobley did sit for it, so we'll be interested to see if he actually plays this. I do think that the Cavs were being a little loosey-goosey in that game, and then they're like, oh, we got to take the Spurs a little more seriously. I don't think they're going to I think they are going to take us seriously this game. I'm very concerned about what it leads to, but you know what? Let me just call my shot here. Julian Champagne's going off for 7 threes this game.
Okay.
How
I
many?
like it.
7.
Okay. And if you do,
I-
I think he has to come on the show. I think that's the way that works.
Hey,
Totally.
I agree. Get out, it's Julian
think-
Champagne. You know we love you.
I think for this game, the Spurs are going to be in trouble because one, yeah, the Cavs, I think, are going to take them a little more seriously. And two, it took them about 40 minutes of game time to realize that Jared Allen was 5 inches taller than everybody. And now he and everybody else know it. So, again, they should have known that coming into the last one. They should have just looked at the rosters and been like, oh, again, the importance of subtraction, right? But like, man, it's gonna be another tough night on the inside. You're gonna need that Herculean effort on the boards. You're gonna need guys flying all over the place. You're gonna need double teams. You're gonna need to open pray.
Well, let's just hope that Mamu's record isn't broken this week when Jared Allen walks in, because if anything goes off what we saw last week, he put 20 and 9 in 8 minutes. Let's hope he doesn't do anything more than that. It could be Mamu. It's up to you to stop it, big dog.
Ease up on the gas pedal, Jared Allen. Okay. And with that, fellas, it's been another really fun episode with you lads. I've had such a great time talking Spurs basketball, hopes for the future, and singing. I mean, this episode really had it all, if you ask me. Is there anything you guys want to say before we sign off?
Austin Spurs, man. End of the regular season today. They're like right around they're gonna be one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the Western Conference. Might get a first round bye, might get some home playoff games here soon. So I'm excited for that too.
Would love if they played the Santa Cruz team, because I know the Santa Cruz team also made the playoffs, and that means that we might get Nick Kerr on the podcast. So that would be awesome. Steve Kerr's son, who's the coach of the Santa Cruz Warriors. So that'd be a fun little get for the boys.
Love that. Well, I appreciate y'all still listening to us jamokes just go on and waxing and waning about the Spurs, especially at this time of year. Easter's around the corner. April Fool's Day, a prankster's holiday is coming up. My mom's birthday is coming up. There's March Madness going on. People are looking at their tankathons. They're looking at their draft boards. Guess what? I ain't doing that right now. I'm watching Spurs basketball, and I'm glad that you are too. Thank y'all again for tuning into this episode, and we'll catch y'all next week. Peace.
Wait, like, subscribe, tell your friends and enemies. Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then, also,
If you've made it
Gotta-
this far, thank you.